Thank you for joining us on our journey here to preserve the history of mixed martial arts. When I wanted to take on this project, I needed help. I brought in one of my favorite matchmakers, Miguel Iterade, and the MMA detective, Mike Davis. So to do this, we've been able to preserve history. Welcome and enjoy. Okay, what's up, everybody? Welcome back, Lights Out Podcast, fan members, or whoever you people are watching right now. I don't really care. Special guest tonight. Super excited about this. Deep dives. You know we love this. This is our favorite stuff. Getting into the minds of the fighters and finding out what makes them tick. And we're just going to go a deep dive. This guy needs no introduction. The New York badass, Phil Baroni. Known this guy forever. Phil, good to have you here. What's happening, brother?
What's up, man? How's it going? Thanks for having me.
Of course, man. Dude, this is awesome, man. I remember, you know, you're an old school guy like myself. And just when I kind of got involved and started fighting with UFC, you were there, you were doing your thing. It was a different world back then. Huh?
We shared a locker room together before.
I know it was awesome. So I always remember that. I've told people this many times, you know, back then, especially, you had a reputation as being, you know, you were the New York badass and, you know, kind of intimidating to a lot of people. And I remember I fought Robbie Lawler and I lost a close decision. And I was a little bummed, and I was sitting in my locker room, and you walked up, and you said, "Hey, man, I thought you did great that fight." And I was like, "Damn, this dude's pretty nice, actually." You know, so I've always told people that, and now Phil's a good guy. So thank you for that. Made me feel good. So thanks, brother.
Oh, man, you're welcome.
Yeah. Mike, go ahead. What do you got for Phil? Mike,
usually Miguel does the intro. Okay, all right. So Phil, we'd like to kind of like microscopically go after somebody's career and just kind of break it down. And your career trajectory was really quick to the UFC. Like you were there like after your second fight.
The UFC, my second one.
Yeah, it was your second. Yeah, it was your second fight. But your first fight was Vengeance Center Vanderbilt, where you fought John Hayes. It's where Lou Neglia kind of cut his teeth. Why don't you tell us how you got on that fight card? And I think you were training with Keith Tremble at the time. And if you can explain that relationship to us.
I was doing kickboxing. I was kickboxing at the time, and Lou Neglia was having those kickboxing shows. And on those shows, Matt Sera was always having an exhibition fight, a fighting exhibition, and I was getting all the attention. You know what I mean? Instead of he had all the fanfare. It was basically like a UFC fight in the ring. So when I saw the fanfare and the attention he was getting, I was like, "Fuck it, I want to do that shit." You know, that's way better than kickboxing bullshit. So I signed up for that. So I think I had the second one there. Then I actually fought in the UFC right away. UFC.
Okay,
30.
so how much MMA training did you have prior to your first fight?
Well, I was a college wrestler. I was doing some boxing and kickboxing, and you know, some of the guys in the wrestling team knew some jiu-jitsu. So, you know, guys were watching UFC back then. You know, all the wrestlers who were watching UFC, and I just happened to be the guy on the team that used to be a jiu-jitsu guy. So, I mean, I had some training.
Okay.
Russian wrestlers that used to come in there, and they were like leg lock guys that actually knew some sambo. So I had some ground training.
What was it like fighting on Lou Neglia shows back then? Because it's since, you know.
And, you know, I just wanted to fight. It was kickboxing. I could just go right away, man. I signed up for a fight, and then I joined the gym, and then 8 weeks later, I was fighting. You know what I mean? I didn't fucking start training and then say I was going to fight. I knew I was fighting right away. So my first fight was 8 weeks into training.
Man, it just blows my mind, though, to think that you had a fight and then you went to the UFC. That's really how that went?
Yeah, I won all the kickboxing fights, and I won some boxing fights. I had like 18 fights, stand-up fights or something like that. And they were looking for a guy, you know, they always found a local tough guy to go in there. And I was the best boxing guy around. So they brought me in as that. They didn't really know I was a wrestler or,
I see.
They didn't know I was even watching UFC. And I knew like the ground and shit. Like I thought I did, you know, a little bit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They thought I was an idiot. You know what I mean? Let's go in there and get my ass kicked. Like I was the local guy who was supposed to get their ass kicked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you had that first fight, and then you've got 7 months off. Is that because you were doing?
And then I got kicked out of the UFC for like wrecking the bathroom or something. I got in a street fight with somebody. I forgot what happened. I got kicked out, and I fought on Frank on Ken Shamrock's show. Killed some really tough dude that Joe Silva was really impressed with. This Russian dude. So the UFC brought me back and put me against Matt Lindland, the Olympic silver medalist.
Right. We got all of that lined up. So you took 7 months off after your first fight from mixed martial arts? Were you doing toughman at that time, or was it just kind of a down period for you?
Well, I was doing some toughman too. Yeah, I was doing that. I was doing that in college. I was in college when I was doing that.
Okay. Is that when you fought that Ole Thorson?
Yeah.
So for those that don't know, Phil does this toughman competition, and this guy Ole Thorson is the guy across the ring from him. Ole ran from him the entire bout, like ran from him, literally ran from him. And then they raise Ole's hand at the end of the bout. That's when the real fight started.
I knocked him down and I hit him when he was on the ground.
Was it a disqualification or was it a judge's card?
I knocked him down because he was running around and doing all that shit the whole time. When he was looking up, I hit him with a fucking uppercut when he was on the ground. So that's
they frown upon that shit, man.
They didn't like that shit. So that's why I ended.
So was it a disqualification or was it a
disqualification?
See, they cut that out of the video online, and then after they raise Ole's hand, Phil goes berserk. That's when the real fight started, and Ole ran out of the ring. I might add,
bro.
So Phil, back then you were just like any kind of fight I want to do: boxing, kickboxing, grappling, wrestling. If it's a fight, I'm in. Is that what it was?
Yeah, still the same shit. I couldn't really get no fights over here. I was having a bunch of bullshit. I went, right before Corona, I was living in Thailand. I was fighting every month.
Really?
Yeah, I was living in Thailand. I was fighting every month. I had 4 fights, and I fought 2 fights in China, 2 MMA fights in China. I was just fighting, dude. It was cool. Yeah, I was living good. It was fun.
All right,
I was like fucking Raiders of the Lost what's the guy? Han Solo. You know?
So at UFC 30, you fight Curtis Stout, and it was one of those things where it was like 2 5-minute rounds. It was some of the undercard, they didn't feel fit, were able to do 3 rounds yet. And, you handled them. It was 2 10-9 rounds. How was dealing with that pressure?
No pressure. No pressure. I knew I was going to the UFC when I was in college. You know what I mean? There was no pressure. I knew I was going to smash that guy. You know what I mean? I was confident I was to beat his ass. I wasn't worried at all.
Yeah. Tito Ortiz and Evan Tanner headlined that card as well. So that was kind of your first brush with Team Quest. Was there any issues in the locker room with those guys at that point, or did that rivalry happen organically?
No, I actually wrestled with those guys, worked out with them. With them, hand fight a little bit, Dan knows, basically it was Americans back then versus everybody else. There was a bunch of Brazilians, a bunch of Russians, and everybody got kind of stuck together. The jiu-jitsu guys would stick together, you know what I mean? And the Americans just stick together. So I was hand fighting and wrestling with those guys, backstage, and I just knew who they were. Hey, what's up? I seen them on TV, so I was just like, "What's up to them?" To Coleman and who was there? Couture was with those guys in Henderson.
Yeah.
Like, what's up? Yeah, I just acted like I knew him. It was cool. I just worked out. They were the Americans. You know what I mean? I was always watching them.
So that's in like February of 2001, and like Phil was saying, it's pretty difficult to get a fight. In between these, because the UFC wasn't doing a lot of events.
They only put on like 5 fights a year. Yeah, you had to fight at other places in between the UFC, but you couldn't just fight there.
Right. So Phil makes his return on UFC 34 on Randy Couture versus Pedro Hizzo, and he fights Matt Lindland in a decision loss.
Yeah, I won that fucking fight, dude. Totally won that fight.
Yeah, I thought so too.
He got a point taken away. Yeah, I easily won that fight, but yeah, go ahead.
So Tito Ortiz was in your corner. How does that relationship start?
I fucking didn't have no one to be in my corner for that fight. You know what I mean? I don't know. I fired my coach or something, and then fucking I just went there with no one. I said, "Yo," and I was working out with the guys. The first time I was there, I said, "Yo, you want to be in my corner?" And he's like, "Fuck yeah!"
So Phil, at this point, like when you're training in New York or whatever, you're not. If you don't have you don't have a team, you're not really training with people. What are you doing? How are you training? Are you just doing wrestling and boxing?
The college wrestling team, working out with the wrestlers, wrestling, and fucking, I'd find some dudes that said they did jiu-jitsu and train with them at the kickboxing gym or bring them to the wrestling room. I was just winging it.
Man, that's
so you
tough,
didn't you weren't doing like the whole serious camp at this point yet.
No, it was serious. I was beating everyone's fucking ass. We were sparring 5-minute rounds with big gloves. I was fucking them up. But like I had no one telling me what to do. I was figuring out. UFC 30. We're figuring our shit out. We're still figuring this shit out. I go to where nobody can do shit to me, so I was always thinking this is garbage.
Did you ever think about like trying to move someplace where they had, or like Matt and Sera and those guys were doing? Do you think about going with those because they were New York guys or any of that? Not really.
No, I didn't. I wasn't into the jiu-jitsu. I was thinking about going with Militich, those guys back in the day. My manager.
Okay.
So I was thinking about going there. Matt Hughes and those guys.
Yeah.
Probably
so was Joe Gold managing you at this point?
Yeah.
Full contact fighter?
Yes.
How was he as a manager?
Good manager. He got me in the UFC, Good manager.
Yeah, he got you in there quick.
Yeah,
that's
right away.
Real quick.
Right away.
Do you think that was too soon for you?
Oh man, I was ready to go. I could have won it then. I was be the champion then, really.
It's true.
It is. Well, for the title, you know what I mean? He was a bad matchup against Bustamante, but he kicked everybody's ass. I mean, I think I beat him both fights. I think I definitely beat him both fights. I think I would have smashed Bustamante.
You know what's interesting is, we're sitting here talking about the UFC. There was a lot of downtime because there wasn't a lot of UFCs. On that UFC 34 card, there's only 7 fights. Like they literally only had 7 fight bouts on the card, which included, Carlos Newton and Matt Hughes, which, is one of the greatest fights ever to take place in the octagon.
First one or second one?
First one.
Okay.
Yeah. Were you ringside for that, or were you still pissed off backstage?
I was probably ringside. I was ringside.
So and like you guys said, you guys were still figuring out at that time. The UFC was as well. They just passed a rule that allowed inactivity.
They were the Americans. I was definitely working out with those guys. So I definitely went out there. I remember sitting there, being ringside, like inside, sitting down inside the barriers where the fight was.
Yeah, it was different. It was different
back then, bro. You just go right over. It was like whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, you could just walk in and sit down and do whatever. There was nobody checking wristbands, none of that stuff. You just like, I'm gonna come sit here.
Yeah.
So you're still in the UFC at this point. At UFC 37, May 10, 2002, on the Murillo Bustamante Matt Lindland headline card, where I think that was a fake tap event. You fight Amir Suluev, who.
The tough motherfucker.
Jesus. If you want to talk about like the grit of Phil Baroni.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Yeah. He's our size.
Yeah.
That might be like the one fight that you put aside and you go, if you want to look at the grit and durability of a fighter, in my opinion, that's yours, because Suluev had no quit in him. And I mean, you knocked him out in the first round, but you earned that. Like you had to earn every bit of that knockout.
Yeah.
Were you surprised going in there that it was?
I didn't want to lose that motherfucker. I had to win that fight. I had to win that fight. I felt like my whole career was on that fight. You know what I mean? I thought I beat Matt Lindland. I didn't want to lose again. This guy just went really tough with Chuck Liddell. You know what I mean? He was really tough guy. And I knew they would send me in to get my ass kicked. You know what I mean? I knew it.
But I feel like back then, I don't know. I mean, not necessarily the guys were better, but I felt like guys were just tough.
If you listen,
they're tough.
Chris, if you were in the UFC with fucking top 5, top 10 in the world, I mean, that's it. If you were there more than once. Like now guys are talking about, I want to fight a top guy in the top 20. Like everybody I fought was in the top fucking 5.
I know, there was nobody. If you were there, you were in the top 20. But I just felt like people were like I said, I'm not saying they were better or more skilled, but they were just all tough as shit.
Rougher dudes.
They were rough. They were hard nosed, man. Everybody, man. There was no soft guys there at all.
Well, let's look at the moving parts on this fight. So Amir is fighting at 205 pounds, fights Chuck Liddell. and he comes down a weight class, and his first fight is Phil Baroni, who's got under 5 fights, and this is Amir's 42nd fight.
Yeah. I was supposed to get my ass kicked that time.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, you were being brought in to win.
Yeah.
Well, the real fight that I really wanted to see started at weigh-ins, where you guys were kind of John. I mean, Phil, you're kind of known for, you know, your outgoing personality, and you were saying things to Amir that may not have been understood on their end. And Gilbert Yvel happened to be cornering Amir.
No,
which,
fuck those guys.
It's a recipe for disaster.
Nah, that's bullshit. What happened was I got into the fucking elevator, and when I was going down, fucking Suluev and fucking Gilbert Yvel, those motherfuckers got in there, and I was by myself, like an idiot, in the elevator with those guys. They were fucking talking shit the whole fucking time, trying to be. So when I fucking knocked his ass out, I went right to their fucking face. I said, you know what I mean? I let them fucking remember who the fuck they were fucking with on the elevator. That's really what happened. Fuck you, motherfuckers. You know what I mean? That's what I was telling them.
So like in the weigh-ins and stuff, you guys are jaw jacking back and forth or whatever. So I got a question. When that's going on, are you trying to get in his head? Or are you just like, I mean, what's going on in your head? Why are you trying to? I
didn't like those motherfuckers. They were trying to punk me in the fucking elevator. That wasn't no bullshit. That was no fucking, you know, let's promote the fight bullshit. That was like, those are fucking rough dudes from Holland. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I wasn't taking no shit. Like, I was crazy back then. I was a kid, and I thought they were gonna punk me, and I was like, fuck you, motherfuckers. And you know what I mean? And Suluev was a rough dude. You know, he was the contract killer. You know what I mean? He really was a rough dude. But you know what I mean? I was a rough dude too. You know, I'm no little fucking punk, and I had nobody there with me. You know what I mean? And I was like, fuck you, cocksuckers. Let's fucking go.
Well, you also like received an illegal knee, like an illegal flying knee.
Yeah, you're a dirty motherfucker. Yeah, you're trying to kill my ass. He was. That was a rough sweat. He wanted to kill me.
So,
my nuts.
How close were you and Gilbert Yvel to throwing down at weigh-ins?
Close in the elevator. Like, you know what I mean? Nobody knows that story.
Yeah.
The whole reason I was like, fuck you, motherfuckers, after the fight was in the elevator. We were like, saying I'm gonna get my ass kicked. I don't know what real fighting is. You know, I think I'm a boxer or some shit. Like they're gonna show me real fucking Holland boxing. And I was like, fuck you, motherfuckers. You know what I mean? Fuck you.
So who was cornering you for that bout? I couldn't see that.
Fucking nobody. I don't fucking
You just asked somebody there again, maybe?
Yeah, man. Yeah, fuck it, dude. I was training myself.
One-man army.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, even to this day, bro, there's so many coaches and shit. Like, you don't know shit about fighting in the UFC if you never fought MMA. You can't be a striking coach or the jiu-jitsu coach or whatever if you never fought. It's way different shit. You know what I mean? It's way. I mean, how many kills you got in the UFC? How many guys you guillotine? But there might be some jiu-jitsu homo dudes that can beat you in jiu-jitsu grappling match. But UFC is a way different story. You know what I mean?
When I can punch you in the face, it changes things. Don't be trying to grab my ankles. I'm gonna hit. You know what I mean? It is different. But it always cracks me up though. I'll be watching and all of a sudden you see a guy show up in his like his girlfriend or his wife's cornering him in the UFC. I'm like, oh no, bro, come on, man. You just I can't do it, man.
So Bill, for that fight, it appears that you switched with the Las Vegas Combat Club and was working out with Frank Shamrock.
No, never working out with Frank Shamrock.
Really?
Frank Mir.
Frank
That's
Mir?
what I was. I was training with the Las Vegas Ricardo Perez coached me to fight a fight. Yeah, this is what happened was I fucking after I won my first UFC fight, then I lost to Matt Lindland, and I was like to Joe Silva, the UFC. I'm like, where the fuck can I go? I need some place to train. I gotta learn how to fucking train a fight. And they said, move to Vegas, and they hooked me up with Frank Mir. And I was training with Frank Mir and his coach Ricardo Perez. That's who trained me, helped me train for the Ricardo Perez for the Amir Sadal fight. And Frank Mir was the announcer for that fight. And he says to Phil's good, a testament to Phil's good jiu-jitsu training because I escaped an armbar. And he was my, he was my coach.
How was it training with those guys? Frank Mir, how was it training with those guys?
Oh, it was awesome. It was good. It was really good. Frank's great. He's one of the best fucking heavyweight fighters of all time.
Absolutely.
Let me jump in here. Phil, how you doing, bro?
Good, bro. How are you?
Good, man. So now you've been here in the UFC a couple of times. You're talking about like sometimes you've gone without a corner man. You're kind of a one-man army. But is Joe Gold still managing you at this point, or did you switch around on managers as well when you went to Vegas? How'd that work out?
I'm not sure. I don't remember. But okay. Probably he was at that point. I believe so. I think he was. Okay. This is my second fight. Yeah, I think so.
So from there, like you're primarily in the UFC, obviously at this point, and you're on the Rico Rodriguez Randy Couture undercard, and
I was training with Rico Rodriguez a little bit fat fight.
Right, another New York guy, and you beat Dave Manet in 18 seconds, which
nasty knockout.
That was one of the nastiest knockouts in UFC history, I believe.
Thanks. That was a big knockout. I remember training really hard for that fight because he was like pretty much the universal middleweight champion. He won a couple of tournaments, stuff. The guys figured him to be the best middleweight fighter in the world. You know what I mean? So I knew it was my coming out party fighting him. He just was the former UFC champion, and he was considered by most, number one in the world. Bustamante came down from 205 and beat him. Then he became number one. But before him, for years and years and years, Dave Manet was number one.
Yeah. I mean, Abu Dhabi veteran Dave Manet is legit as they come, for sure.
What you got to remember from that time is he won that tournament in Kuwait.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
That had Pele in it, and Matt Hughes was in it, and and the Russian guy Karim Barklev, and he was the meanest of all. Right. And they went through that whole tournament, which, besides being UFC champ, Phil's absolutely right on with that, spot on.
Yeah. And, after that, you fought on a Tim Sylvia, Rico Rodriguez undercard against Matt Lindland. And at this point, I think it's kind of important to note that Matt Lindland in his career, he's kind of being known as a really boring fighter, like somebody that's very difficult to watch. But Phil, I'm gonna be honest, every single time you fought the guy, you brought the best out in him. And that was one of those bouts. That rematch was fantastic. A lot of trash talk between the two of you. And the rumor is that you had actually went to Team Quest. I don't know, was it before this fight to work out with those guys, or was it after?
It was probably before.
So
I think it was before. Yeah, it was. I know it was before I fought Evan Tanner, but it was probably before I fought him. You got to remember, the best guys in the world were on that team at that time. All the best guys in middleweight were on that team. That was the best team. That's why I went there to see what was up. And then when I figured I could beat these guys, I left. Because I wasn't on that team.
So, Chael Sonnen talks about how you and Evan Tanner.
Worst winner. Like he wasn't even in the fucking conversation. You know what I mean? He's like my age. We used to beat the fuck out of him. He wasn't even like when I went to Pride and shit. Like the whole level of the UFC went down some. I mean, I think Chris will tell you. Like there was a time when guys like Chael, who's he's a decent fighter, but he wouldn't be in the UFC. And then after when he was there, the whole level it got way bigger, and the whole level went down, in my opinion.
So in that room of Team Quest, Chael talks about like a legendary sparring match that took place between you and Evan Tanner.
Yeah, I knocked him out.
Was there also, did it like continue after that?
No, I dropped him, and then Randy Couture sparred hard against me.
Hey, what happened?
I dropped him and I knocked him out, and he sat on the side. And then Randy Couture sparred hard against me.
Oh, Randy.
Yeah.
With the shark tanking you?
No, he just sparred hard against me the next round, and then that was the last round. He won real hard, but it was like, whatever. We just fought him back.
You think they were pissed off you came in and knocked out their guy? She was like, all right.
Fuck
you know,
yeah. Fuck yeah. They were.
Coming after his ass. I see.
Yeah, a little bit. A little bit.
I mean, you get along with those guys after
Yeah,
that?
I'm friends with those guys. Yeah.
Okay.
I like those guys. But, you know, I beat them up that day. Then Randy beat me up, you know? That's what happened, you know? I got you know?
Oh, there's a room full of killers. I mean, it's just a matter of time when it's your turn.
That's what I take credit. That's what Randy learned, that fucking move, hit you in the shoulder, hit you in the face with the shoulder. So you got me in the corner.
Yeah.
He started hitting me in the fucking face with the shoulder. That's where he learned it on me. That day he made it up.
He got mad at you. That's funny. I love it.
Well, would you agree, like Lindland up until this point, it seemed like he was one loss away from getting like cut from the UFC, but they had to keep him.
They couldn't kill him. They couldn't kill him. It was tough.
But they tried. Would you not agree?
Yeah. Then he knocked himself out, and then he got rid of him.
Yeah.
They didn't like him ever. You know that, man. They, like you said, Mike, they wanted to get rid of him, but every time they wanted to, he'd win. Like, damn, I can't get rid of the guy. This guy's like,
he beat their good guys. Like, fuck. Yeah, they were like, fuck. We can't give him the good guys. He's ruining all their records, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, when he knocked himself out against Nico Vitale.
And then they cut him. Next fight.
Yeah.
They cut him.
He got like a big takedown.
He was trying
knocked himself out.
Motherfucker. He was trying to show off and suplex the guy. And the guy grabbed
landed on his head.
Yeah, he grabbed his tights a little bit and he landed on his head. He grabbed his tights and he fucking cheated and he landed on his head and knocked himself out.
So have you and Matt Lindland seen each other since then and like had cordial conversations? It is what it is?
Yeah, no, we're cool.
Yeah, that was a fantastic rivalry. I enjoyed it. But
back in the day, you know?
But it seemed to me like the Team Quest wasn't done with you. Like it was like, no, now send Evan at him. Did you think that they were the ones pushing those matches, or you think it was Joe Silva?
No, I was pushing the matches, man. I'm an idiot. I just thought I could definitely. I was getting beating the hell out of those guys in the room, so I thought I could definitely beat him. Then I lost to Lynn, and I was like, "Fuck! Well, I could definitely beat this guy." And he's ranked high and shit. And then after he beat me, he was the champion. But
right. Well, you know what kind of hurt me, like as a fan, where the UFC, like what we're saying, this is the beginning stages. Like everybody's kind of figuring things out. And sometimes they would make rules that in theory are supposed to help like fighters as well as the situation. But then when they see them get enacted, they're like, wait a minute, this is like a debacle. Like, how didn't any of us see this? And what I'm talking about is Larry Landless was your referee when you fought Evan Tanner, when you lost by KO.
Yeah, that was horseshit, huh?
So what happens is Phil is literally, like in every sense of the word, literally about to finish Evan Tanner. Rather than allowing the fight to continue, Landless steps in and says, stop. We got to let the doctor look at Evan.
This is what I think. I think he initially stopped the fight and then second-guessed himself and tried to save himself with the cut and probably thought the ref would stop with the cut. When he sent them back out there 2 minutes later, you know what I mean? I think he fucked up. I think he fucked up and then he figured, okay, I'll just save myself with the cut.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, I had a knockout. If I win that fight, now I'm fighting for the UFC championship. And he won it. So, you know, that was a pretty shitty fucking fuck
I remember that. And that was UFC 45, by the way.
Yes,
that's why.
You were on that card, right?
Yeah, that's why I remember. I was there.
Yeah, you were in the locker room together, huh?
Yeah. That was it. I was like, oh shit, man, because you had him knocked out, and then they stopped.
He was like wobbly.
He got on top.
Yeah, he was wobbly.
He was hurt. I was like, yeah.
You saw the tale of two people and how they handled, like Phil was turning up the volume to maximum level because he knows he's got the finish in hand.
Blood, yeah.
And he's spent. So, you know, in the middle of all this, Phil is like, you know, adrenaline dumped. Like he's,
you can't stop it, man. Once you stop it, it's over, man.
When I won at first, I ran and jumped on the fucking cage.
Yeah. Once you stop it, it's over, man. I mean.
Yeah.
So they send
and second guess the stoppage. You know what I mean? I know we did. You know what I mean? I was in the ring. That's what I felt like. He stopped it. Then he second guessed it. Instead of just doing that, he figured out to cover myself with the cut. You know what I mean? Makes no sense to fucking stop the fight when I'm throwing punches at the guy to check the cut.
Yeah, you don't do that. That's dumb.
It doesn't. He fucked up.
So let's further the conversation. Like, you're saying he fucked up, and you're being, in my opinion, you're kind of being kind when you're saying that he just made a mistake and second guessed himself. But then there were several times when Evan had you mounted and you're ready to buck him off, and Evan would grab the fence, maintain the mount, only to receive a verbal warning and continue to stay on top of you. That happened like maybe 2 or 3 times. He's telling you to improve your position. You buck Evan off. Evan grabs the fence, maintains mount, continues to punch you. Landless just gives a verbal warning rather than standing you guys up or deducting a point.
He bet the fight.
Hey,
Phil, listen. Here, this is what I do. Phil, no, this is what I know. If you go crazy on Larry Landless, we get a really good clip out of it. That I do know. But the reality of the situation is there's a lot of mistakes heading one person's way and not the other.
Yeah.
With that said, I've got more, Chris. I think I could get him to pop eventually.
Feed me, baby. Let's hear it.
So really fast though, at this point, you're where are we in the UFC 40s in 2003 and stuff? This is Zuffa. This is Joe Silva's the matchmaker and stuff.
Yeah.
You predate that stuff. But how's your relationship with them? Do you really feel they want you out? We know.
I think they like
Matt that much. I think they liked you.
I think they love me. They put me on the UFC video game cover, the Ultimate Knockout cover. I think they like me. You know what I mean? I think they fucking can't control the job. I don't know what happened really. I mean, at that point, they fucking like me. I'm everything they want. They want a guy who could talk, who has a good body, who's gonna fucking try and punch because they come from boxing. You know what I mean? So I was actually trying to be what they wanted. So I thought they liked me then.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that you were one of the guys, like you got, like, with Minowa, with Suluev, with Lindland, Tanner, you're getting their frontline guys and a chance to shine too.
Right, yeah.
Well, I mean, let's even further the conversation. He's also one of the first guys to really embrace the ring entrance. Like, he's got his own, custom made, walkout, robe. Yeah, I mean, he's doing the pro wrestling thing while everyone else is kind of cookie cutter. I wish him good luck and all this. And Phil's just like, man, there ain't no luck here. I'm going to try to murder him to like death. Yeah, that was your attitude.
Yeah, my pro wrestling promos.
Wow. How are you going to sell yourself?
Yeah.
Well, that reminded me of something from the old days, because one of the things that you caught a lot of shit for was the Daisy Dukes.
That's true.
Yeah. You want to tell people about that? Because obviously, I think, the story is, hey, you got to make your money and stuff like that. And hey, you had a body, you got to build, you had a look. You're doing some modeling, but
I was a Guido from New York. We wore fucking shorts. That's what we wore, guys. New York. Not much to it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what we wore. That's what the bodybuilder dudes wore. I thought they had big legs. We were a fucking bunch of Guidos.
Well, after this fight, Phil goes after Larry Landless. Like, Phil goes like full on, fuck this, let's take no prisoners. It is what it is.
Well, I tried to get up as fast as I could, and he was trying to hold me down because he knew he fucked up. He knew he fucked up again, and he put his knee in my belly. So when he put his knee in my belly, I was like, get the fuck off me. He was trying to like pin me down to like make it look like he didn't stop the fight, fucked up. So that's when I started trying to punch him in the face. Get the fuck off me, motherfucker. He was trying to pin me down.
I remember that.
Belly. You know what I mean? I knew he knew some jiu-jitsu or something. You know what I mean? All these referee UFC guys were fucking some kind of homo martial arts something. He was a jiu-jitsu one. So I knew he was trying to fucking in the belly hold me down. I was like, yeah, right, motherfucker. Get the fuck off me. I ain't hurt. You know what I mean? You made a bad fucking call.
Did you ever get any trouble for going after him or never say anything?
Yeah, I got in trouble. I suspended for like 3 or 4, 6 months. I don't know. 6 months or something.
4. You got suspended for 4 months.
Yeah.
And Dana White.
They wanted to suspend me for a year, but I hired a lawyer and I spent my whole purse. The whole purse. Yeah, for nothing. You know what I mean? Just a bunch of bullshit, man.
So Dana White goes in there, and it's like a young Dana White, and he just, calm the fuck down, Phil, calm down. And to Phil's credit, Phil calmed down. Like, he understood like the situation in the playing field. You know, it appears the way Dana was responding to this situation, like, no, we got you again. Don't worry about it. He had like that New York type of, we got you, Boston, New York type of attitude. We got you, but don't dig your hole too deep. And you know, to your credit,
calm down too. I calmed down.
Yeah, that's the right thing to do. You know, it was the right thing to do.
I thought I was a company guy back in the day. You know what I mean?
For sure. Why not?
Yeah, I was trying to be the best I could be.
Hey, you said they held up your purse. What were you making around that time? Were you making like 30K fight, or what? You remember the neighborhood?
Who's that for?
Evan Tanner, the first one.
For the Lindland rematch.
Evan Tanner.
Evan Tanner.
Fuck.
Hey, I'm sure it was a lot.
I got my purse. My last purse I had was 20 and 20, 25, 25, 30 and 30. But I lost 3 fights, so I got 20, 20, 20. Those were my last 3 fights. That was my last contract.
Okay.
Well, Chris, you were on a card against Robbie Lawler. He had been right in that ballpark.
Oh, I was making 2,000 and 2,000.
That's bonkers.
So I never forget this. I fought Robbie, you know, and that was just the standard case. That was my first time fighting for them in a long time. So I fought
2 and 2 was thought.
Yeah, 2 and 2. So and then I remember after that, I lost the decision. So after that, I remember they had me like, you need to fight outside the UFC and come back. I fought Pete Spratt and beat him, and they go, okay, we're having you back to fight, you know, Tiki on UFC 47. I was like, all right. And they offered me 2 and 2 again. I go, nah, man, I fought like a fight of the night last time. I want more money. They're like, yeah, we're paying you 2 and 2. And I go, I need more money. And they go, well, that's what the fight pays. I go, I'm not doing it. And they go, okay, we'll get somebody else. And I hung up the phone. And I sat there for about 2 minutes, and I called them back. I go, okay, I'll take it. I mean, what are you gonna do, man? I mean, I had no leverage, man. They had me. I knew it right then. I knew they had me. I couldn't do anything until I had leverage, and I had to wait, man. I had to wait till you can't do anything. There's nowhere to go, man. It was rough.
Well, you're king of the cage.
Shit. Yeah, WEC.
Yeah, WEF. Yeah, that was it. You know, that was it. So you also fought on the Ken Shamrock Chemo undercard. I apologize, Chemo Leopoldo, against Evan Tanner in a rematch. You know, due to the fact that, you know, it was kind of upside down what took place in the first one. They gave you a rematch, and it looked like for the first time you hit a cardio wall in your career. But up until this point, dude, your cardio looked fantastic. Even after this fight, it looked good, I might add. Was there an issue with training and preparation for this?
I didn't have a good training camp. I didn't train good. I had a fucking really shitty camp, and fucking looking back, I shouldn't have took the fight. You know what I mean? But I just took the fight. I thought I was gonna kill him anyway, you know. But
where were you training?
I wasn't prepared. I was out of shape.
We were Cobra Kai?
Nowhere.
Mark Lehman was in your corner.
Yeah, maybe there in Vegas.
So when you were training in Vegas, was like, I mean,
I was training.
Vegas it's a tough place to train, dude. There's a lot of distractions. Was that a problem? Like, hey man, I got to go out tonight. I mean, was that a problem in Vegas?
I could not go out. You know what I mean? I didn't care about going out. I wasn't the guy that always had to go out. I didn't care about that.
Okay.
Oh, that's interesting. And then, you know, the UFC appears to kind of, wow, I'm not going to say kind of do you a favor, because that's not true. They had you against Robbie Lawler at UFC 51, where Robbie pulls out and they put in Pete Sell.
Yeah, that was a gift. But I don't know. I just wanted my game plan was to show my grind and pound against Robbie Lawler, because I wouldn't expect it. And I just used the same game plan against Pete Sell. You know what I mean? I just gonna do the same thing that I trained on. So you can see I was taking his ass down the whole time, beating the shit out of him on the ground. I mean, I could have easily just knocked him out. I just wanted to just show my fucking whatever. I was an idiot. I should have just knocked his ass out, but I was just thinking, like, I just did this whole fucking long camp. I want to shove him or what I was going to do to Robbie Lawler like an asshole. You know what I mean? So I knew I was going to beat this guy's ass. This Pete Sugg guy, I didn't have a word. You know what I mean? I was like, what a fucking joke. I'm going to smash this guy. I didn't have a word. The first jab I hit him with, I seen his eyes were crossed. You know what I mean? And you see him get knocked out consecutively. I mean, the first shot I hit him when I remember, I was fucking. I thought I could take him out at any time.
You know, they announced you as a Shaq Fu master.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that was in regards to the movie. And, you know, you had switched camps and you trained with Ensign Inoue for this one.
Oh, yeah, I was in Japan, too.
Was it difficult? Like all that, the travel and then to come back home?
Yeah, I wasn't ready for it. Yeah, I you know, should have done that. Oh, well. I lived in Japan for the first time for a couple months.
What was the draw there to do that?
Fuck, I never been in Japan.
It's cool.
I thought they had some cool training. You know what I mean? I thought they'd have some good training. Different.
So,
training.
Chris, you were on that same card. You fought Carol Parisian on that bout. I know. I'm sorry. You know, I'm bringing up two losses to two guys on the same card. So, you know, I mean, it's.
Yeah.
On your walkout, they mentioned something that was pretty interesting, and they said that there was years of bad blood between you and Matt Sera. Could you? Yes. Could you open up a little bit on it?
What? It wasn't really though. When I started fighting, it was kickboxing, and fucking Matt Sera was doing like grappling exhibitions. So I was I was the wrestler that was doing the shit. Maybe he was a jiu-jitsu guy from the East Coast, and then I got in UFC first, and he was in UFC. So maybe like jiu-jitsu rivalry, but not really. We never really had no real rivalry. You know, I don't think.
You guys ever like exchange words?
Not on my side. You know what I mean? I don't think so. He had a split. It was a different thing. I was more of a loner, and he was like, of a team. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I don't think there was any rivalry really. It wasn't like I was with a team against his team. You know what I mean? It was just me. So I don't think there was really a rivalry.
It was like a clash of personalities, possibly.
What?
Was it like a personality issue?
Nah.
Because I mean, while you were in New York, at some point, because Matt Sera is like the conduit to like Renzo Gracie's academy there.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's good training. What you seen that looked to me, everything that you said so far, you looking for the best training, and you missed that.
I should have went there. I don't know why I didn't go there. I was a wrestler. I didn't fucking. I thought I was a wrestler. You know what I mean? I didn't fucking think about going there.
Okay. That makes sense. So
it was a long time ago, man. It was a long time ago. There was probably no other wrestlers there. You know what I mean? I would have been the first one.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? That was kind of like when everybody stuck to everybody. You stuck to your own shit.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So with the wrestling, is that what it maybe kind of attracted you a little bit to like the Hammer House?
That's
Coleman,
right. What
happened with the Hammer House? With the real story with the Hammer House, how you hooked up with them was for the Randleman moved out to Vegas. He was training in Vegas. Coleman came out to fucking help him train at the gym every day. Coleman needed a ride. He was calling a taxi. So I was like, fuck it, where you staying, man? He told me the hotel he was staying at. So I was like, fuck it, I'll drive you back. So I would just drive his ass back to the fucking hotel every day after training. And then I started picking him up too. And I just became his friend like that.
He's a good dude, man. That's my guy.
Yeah.
I talked to him
earlier.
earlier.
My last UFC fight with that kid Cell, I said, you want to be in my corner? Since I was driving him every day to the gym. And I like Mark Coleman. He's always a fucking legend, the Hammer House. So he's like, yeah, okay, I'll be in your fucking corner. So he was in my corner. So then, so I got choked out. That was my last fight in fucking UFC. I guess he liked me. He got me in pride.
So
nice.
How do they tell you that you're cut? When does that conversation take place?
Dana called me in to his office. I went to his office and he told me, yeah, I should retire. It's like, yeah, right, motherfucker. What else are we going to do?
He really told you to retire?
Yeah. Begged me to retire. It was the weirdest shit.
That's weird.
Really weird. I was a kid, I wasn't even 30.
Who was that? I'm sorry. Was that Joe or Dana?
No, Dana.
Dana.
Okay.
How was your relationship with Joe Silva?
I used to talk more with Dana back then. Fine, yeah, cool.
Huh. Yeah, that had been a hard conversation. I mean, it's like if you really look at your style of fighting, win or lose, it didn't matter. Like it was.
I was trying to kill the guy. I was always just trying to knock his ass out.
But it was always the most entertaining fight on the card for the most part.
Yeah, because I was just trying to kill him, whoever he was. I was trying to knock him out, I was trying to fuck him up.
So if you kind of look at it like then and look at it now, you got, was it Jeremy Stevens, from Iowa? He's got I think he's got 19 or 20 losses on his record, with only one of them happening outside of the UFC. And he'll never get cut because he's so friggin' entertaining.
I don't know. Yeah, I think I came up at the wrong time. You know what I mean? I think I never should get cut either. But I had all those fights I had in pride in the UFC, and all the fights after that too. Whatever, man. It was a different time, or they fucking didn't. I was probably a fucking pain in the ass to deal with. I was always doing dumb shit,
Now, did you think one thing I always loved about Japan is, it wasn't all just about going in there and when if you went out there and fought your ass off, they loved you, So did you find that to be more the case in Japan?
Yeah.
It was just about and that's what I love about it. It was great. You go out there and you put on good fights, they love you.
Yeah, no pressure. That's why I always just fucking say, fuck it, stand. You know what I mean? All my fights are standing. And other guys would be like, fuck it, you want to stand, let's stand. So it'll be a good fight, we'll get brought back. You know what I mean? And we're just trying to outpoint each other standing. We're trying to knock each other out standing. You know what I mean? We're really going at it.
Well, your entry into the Japanese market was at Pride Bushido 7. And I will say that, we kind of toy around with little Hall of Fame, the Lights Out Hall of Fame. This is on my short list. When you fought Minowa, when you knocked him out in the second round, this fight is absolutely Hall of Fame worthy. If you look at the amount of action that takes place in a short amount of time, and you're representing Hammer House, and it was bonkers. Did you expect that? Was it just kind of baptized by fire?
Yeah, I expected that. I was ready for that. I thought I'd take him out easier, but he trained real hard for that fight. He was on a couple.
I fought Minowa. He's tough as hell, dude. I mean, he's a tough guy. So knocking out him's impressive, man.
He's a rough guy. He's been in there with everybody. You know what I mean? And I think when I fought him, that was his peak. I think he was on a win streak, and that was his peak. And I think they brought me in to get, they obviously brought me in to get beat by him. I was the young UFC guy. That's how they built me. That was before they built me as a Hammer House guy. They just built me as a UFC guy, kind of like they did when they brought Chuck over. I was built just as that, and I fucking took him out though.
Right. So Charles Bennett was on the undercard. Do you recall? Did you share a locker room with him, or did you see any of his little?
It's just him. Yeah, he was in the bus and shit. He's funny. I always see him in the hotel. No, I always liked him. He's funny. He's a funny guy. He's crazy.
He's out of his mind. He's out of his mind.
So I saw him at the last bare knuckle fight that I did our commentary for. I showed up at the.
Did he win?
No, man. I think he's 0-3. But I seen. I walk into the hotel. I'm waiting to get my room, and I see some dude come up, and he has his sweatshirt pulled up. His hoodie pulled up in the whole, it pulled tight the whole thing. So I couldn't tell who it was at first. I assumed it was him because his thing's pulled tight, so it the thing covers like that. And I see him walking in. Hey, you got any weed? I was like, no, I ain't got any weed. So I assume it was Charles Bennett. I don't know if it was him for sure, but I'm 99% sure it was him. And then he walked off. So it's like,
So, you fight there May 22nd, and they do a quick turnaround. They want you on the next card, and they put you against Ryo Chonan and Bushido 8. You've got Mark Coleman and Kevin Randleman in your corner.
That was after he just beat fucking
Anderson Silva.
Yeah. Silva. So, they definitely wanted to get me beat. After I beat Minowa, they wanted to get me beat. He was on a couple fight win streak. You know what I mean? So they fucking they wanted to get me the fuck out of that. They didn't like me beating their guy. So that was so when I fought him. I knew I was going in to lose. I was getting the main event too. Both these fights, they never told me I was the main event. Which is a big deal. It's a big deal when you're the main event.
Was there a pay difference from the UFC contract?
I got paid way less.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Would you mind disclosing like some of your purses? Like,
not that good.
Well, now the Pride Bushido, they didn't. I mean, a lot of times that was like their. It wasn't their big fights a lot of times. You know what I mean? So
it was supposed to be basically the 185 and under show for them.
Yeah.
That leaves the Crow Cops and everyone on the big show, the heavyweight.
Right.
Yeah.
Or they put one of those guys on our show was the main event. Just one. Crow Cop, I think, was the main event on one of my Bushido fights.
Oh.
Wow. So what was the locker room atmosphere like? Did you ever get approached, like maybe to like do some fight fixing or anything like that?
Serious. Never once. It was serious.
You know what? There's certain people that they would approach and certain ones they wouldn't. I can see how you could fall into the category of don't bother asking them. I could see that.
And now I always thought it was weird.
I'm sorry. Did they ever jam you with some pro wrestling? I think I saw you doing some pro wrestling in your later years, but they never approached you in those years, showman type.
They were going to, but then they realized I was a serious fighter. They were doing hustle. Random and Coleman were both on it, and they wanted to approach me, but then I think they realized I was a serious fighter, and I was on every Bushido card after my first one. I was on every one, so every month and a half I was fighting. So I think they wanted to keep me fighting,
Did you think about relocating to Japan at this point because you were out there so much?
No, but if I would have known what I know now, I would have moved to Thailand. And I would have trained there hardcore at one of the gyms, at one of the main gyms, and fucking stayed over there. Yeah, that's what I would have done. Instead I moved to Vegas. I was living in Vegas.
And now, did anybody from the UFC? I mean, you're on a roll right now, like doing big things in Japan. Is there anybody from the UFC kind of reaching out to you just to have conversations with you?
Yeah. They wanted to bring me back for the Ultimate Fighter, the comeback season. But I was like, fuck that. I'm going to fight and win the title in the Grand Prix. Looking back, I should have probably did the Ultimate Fighter, but I wasn't trying to be an Ultimate Fighter. You know what I mean? I was fighting in the Pride Grand Prix. Why the fuck would I want to, in my mind back then, come back and go on Ultimate Fighter when I'm going to fight for the world title? You know what I mean? The Grand Prix.
And here's the thing. Nobody knew back then that they were, the Pride was going to go under. Back then, Pride was the biggest thing going. You know what I mean? So why would you ever leave that to go back to it almost been like taking a step backwards.
That's what I felt like.
That makes sense.
I could see that. You're looking at the past.
I'm going to reality show about the Ultimate Fighter. That will fight in the Grand Prix. You know what I mean? I remember watching the K1 Grand Prix and whoever won that shit was the best fighter in the world. And I wanted to I was in this to be the best fighter in the world. You know what I mean? I felt like if I wanted to be on a reality show, I could have fucking just been an actor or been a soap opera or something. You know what I mean? That's how I did it.
Well, here, you borrowed favors to get out there. You're making a good showing of yourself. You do what it is you knew you always could do. And now the UFC's saying, hey, why don't you come on back? It's kind of like, I don't know, it's not good faith to the guys that, worked hard to get you there.
Right.
It's just like at some point you just kind of go, oh no, this is where I'm at. This is what I'm going to do when I'm done with this. I'll come talk to you. Yeah. So you did Pride 9. It's like you're literally out there every month and a half. And they rematch you with Minowa again.
Yeah.
What was the reason behind that? And this is a different Minowa. Minowa was yoked.
I don't know. I have no idea.
It was a terrible performance on his end. Like no stock went up on it. All he did was take you down over and over and over again and just kind of steal minutes of the round.
Fucking the only reason I think I don't know, man. I tore my meniscus and they knew about it. They sent me to that doctor. I got cortisone shot in my knee. And then he had a completely different game plan. And then when he fought me that time, he was just trying to wrestle me and hold me down. So they knew my knee was maybe injured. They wanted to get him through past me that time. Because I don't know why they didn't stand it up. You know what I mean? Normally they would stand it up. So that's why back then I wasn't really trying to fucking get up. And he was just laying on me. And I think, you know what I mean? It was a little bit of an inside job, maybe.
Well, you know, if you really look at it, it made no sense. Like if what they ought to do is kind of put you guys on opposite ends of the tournament bracket, and just kind of see what happens. You know, if you want the rematch, earn it. If you're Minowa,
I don't know.
Yeah, Bustamante, he won the tournament with a win over Ken Henderson.
Getting cortisone shots, you know.
Did you get the cortisone shots in Japan or in the United States?
Japan.
Do you think they may have known about it?
Fuck yeah. I think
Did you use their doctors or just a doctor off the street?
They're doctors.
Ah.
I didn't know they were gonna match me with what's his face after that. No, you know what I mean? I think that's why they matched me with him, and they told him take him down. You know, he's not gonna be able to defend the takedown. I think maybe.
You know, it's like MMA is a grimy sport. Like it really is. But then, like when you get to Japan, like there's levels of griminess that most people can't even wrap their heads around that took place in that country.
Yeah, they want to get their guys over.
Yeah.
Bill, we
they're
interviewed
fucking guys. You know what I mean? It's their guys.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was going to jump in with a story that from another interview with Joel de Oliveira, where I don't know if you remember, Phil, but he got burnt. Coming out for a pride, for a pride performance, he got burnt by their pyrotechnics, and he said the lawyers were there at the hospital with his compensation for him to sign half an hour after he was checked in.
He spent like 2 months in a burn unit. He's all drugged up. We're like, yeah, sign here.
Legal. This is legal. We got it.
How much did he get?
He wouldn't disclose it, but he said it wasn't enough. He's like, I spent 2 months there. Like 70% of my body was burnt. That's how bad it was. Like there was like an issue with the translation where it was don't stand here, and something happened with the translator, and he stood there and he got shot with like friggin' like mortars.
Hey, back to make this full circle, he was getting ready to fight Sera when that happened. So
yeah,
Matt was warming up, and they kept right over. Hey, your opponent just got burned up. That's messed up.
Yeah, that's wild.
Sera was introduced. He was in the ring. They announced. You could hear them say Joel de Oliveira like announcing the fighter more than once over the microphone. Fancy.
So, from that was September 25th, and that was for the tournament, obviously for the title. And you come back and fight on Pride Bushido 10 against Yuki Kondo. Like Phil, when you get like a Rampage Jackson or somebody like that, they pull guys off the street just so Rampage can get his big slam, put his chain on, howl at the moon. They were trying to murder you. Like
I had all the toughest guys. I thought that's what I used to think. I you know what I mean? I didn't have any guys who had their UFC debuts. Pride debuts.
Yeah. Yuki Kondo was the man back in Pancrase for a long time. He was their golden boy for a long time.
So, Phil, what do you recall about that fight?
He beat like semi-Schilling shit, you know?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, he was undefeated there for a long time. He's good.
I think he fought Semi Schultz on more than one occasion. I think he fought him like 2 or 3 times.
He's no bitch. And I thought he got the better of Dan Henderson. Right before that fight, he fought Dan Henderson. I thought he won that fight.
I did too.
So what do you Decision Dan? They used to always win the decision. They always gave Dan the decision. His nickname was Decision Dan back then. Do you remember that? or no?
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Oh yeah. Okay. I remember them too. He fought Tito Ortiz in UFC and knocked him down with a jumping knee, and then he got submitted afterwards. But I mean, he had him knocked. He had him hurt too, man.
Kondo.
So Frank Trigg was announcing and had mentioned that you guys like had worked out and sparred in the past. Was that also in Vegas?
Yeah, probably. We sparred a couple times. Yeah, Vegas.
Yeah, Trigg is he's legit, man. How did those sparring sessions go?
Good. I like working out with Trigg. He's tough.
Yeah. Now, so you beat Yuki Kondo in 25 seconds. Now, are you doing like a multi-fight contract with them, or is it fight by fight?
Multi-fight then. It was multi-fight.
Okay. So are you at the end of your contract or the beginning of a new one?
I think there were 3-fight deals, so whatever what that was.
Yeah, so it's your new contract. Were they coming around and taking care of you at this point, or were they still kind of being slow on the money?
I've been taking care of more. It was okay. It was okay for me. It was good enough. It should have been more.
Huh. Okay.
That's
so after that, you fight like literally a month later. Oh no, 2 months later. Cornered by Mark Coleman.
You know what I loved about you know why this is what I always think to this day. The reason I did so good over there was I never had time to get out of shape. I never got time to get. Oh really? I never got time. I was always fighting. I was always active. You know what I mean? In UFC, my fights are so far apart. Sometimes I have one fight a year. The guy would get. I'd be ready for a fight. The guy would get hurt. You know what I mean? Then the whole thing would never replace him. It would be all right. Just wait till the next UFC. It was different. It was a different time back then. And Pride had me going. And once I got going and once I was in shape, I just stayed in shape. It was easy. You know, I just kept the ball rolling. And that's why I think I did better over there.
It's always the best way. I always felt like it sucks to get in shape. Once you're in, just stay in shape.
Yeah. Yep.
So how was the jet lag? Like how soon before the fights would you arrive out there?
I used to go. Actually, I used to pay extra, go extra early. Like whatever they sent me, 5 days. I go like 2 days more, so like 7 days, whatever. I would pay extra out of my own money, and then when I would win, they wouldn't charge me. You know what I mean? But if I lost, they would charge me. Fucking, I would do that, and it was I liked it. You know what I mean? I liked the long flight because I knew what I was fucking getting ready to do. You know. I a lot of people like fighting at home. I hated fighting in Vegas. I mean, everyone asked me for tickets. People I never know or talk to. Mm-hmm. I didn't like fighting in Vegas. I didn't do as well. I was always distracted. I liked training and going somewhere else. And I knew when I got off the plane, as soon as I was in a totally different atmosphere, I knew why I was there. I was there just for one reason only. That was to fight. And I was able to focus and have my best performances overseas.
Phil, when you would go to Japan, did you used to go hang out after the fights? Would you go to Roppongi afterwards? Because that's what I do every time afterwards. Roppongi all night.
Yeah. It's fun.
Gas Panic, just all those crazy ass places. Fun nights.
You ever been to Thailand?
Yeah, once, man. Oof,
it's
man.
like a giant Roppongi kind of, right?
Oh, I know. Every place is like. I mean, man, I don't know. I don't know if I can go back, man.
Well, you actually, at this point, you fight one of the toughest guys in the world. You fight Kazu Misaki, who lots of kicks, leg kicks, flying knees, beat Dan Henderson in his fight after you. It's a brutal fight. And you got Mark Coleman and Crazy Bob Cook in your corner. Did you switch teams to AKA at this point for training?
Yeah, I was over there. Yep, I was training at AKA.
So what do you recall going into this fight? Obviously, you knew how tough he was.
Oh, I knew he was tough. I called him out. I wanted to fight him. He beat the shootbox guy. He beat Dan Henderson. And I thought he was going to be the toughest guy in the tournament. And I want to have him first. Do you know what I mean? Not catch him later on not catch him after a fight. You know what I mean? I wanted to get him fresh. And I had the opportunity. I chose him, and fucking they gave me the decision. I thought I definitely won that fight. It was a really close fight. You got a point taken away, for doing nothing when I was on top of him, just holding me there. And it was Japan now. And he went on to win the Grand Prix. He was the Japanese ace. I should have won that fight for sure.
You landed multiple hard punches. How close do you think you were to knocking him out?
I dropped him. I dropped him.
How close do you think you were to kind of
Real
to
close.
close in there.
Real close. I still let him get up. I should have jumped on him when he was on the ground. I should have like cracked him. You know, I didn't crack him.
Huh.
Now I can't remember back with the rules there. You could have just
Kicked him
you
in the
could have
head.
kicked
Yeah.
it. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we didn't really talk about it, but the first fight you had in Japan where you won, that was stomps. You stomped them out. It says.
Yeah.
How's that feel? How did you, is that different? Did you have to practice? You know, cut
No,
loose
that's
in
how I
the
used
fight?
to fight. That's how I used to fight growing up. Growing up, you know what I mean? I was a wrestler. I always fight older, bigger guys, so I would take them out, and then when I was on top of them, I'd get up real fast and kick them in the head. You know what I mean? On the ground. So that's how I used to fight when I was a kid. So it was easy for me going over to Pride. You know what I mean? I was just what I did when I was little.
I love it.
Nice.
So, fast forward a few years, you fight in Cage Rage, where you fight Scott Jansen, who's like a local guy that's real popular. And you had Josh Thompson, Mark Coleman in your corner. And, man, there was some bad refereeing in that fight. Like, if there was some hometown cooking, like, you had to see that coming. Like, essentially, Phil's got the guy mounted and is ready to pound on him. The referee steps in to stand him up for lack of activity. It's one of those situations.
It was definitely I was definitely brought in to get beat by a hometown guy, you know.
Did you notice it at weigh-ins that the table may have been a little tilted a little bit against you?
I didn't care. I knew.
So that was the one over in London, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was weird. The cage was like made out of a netting. You could fall into it and stuff. It was weird. Is that the same place?
I don't remember. Maybe
it was Cage Rage. It appears to be netting. I think
it was. The cage wasn't a cage. It was like netting. You could fall. It was weird. I like it.
Yeah, it was like a rope, like in the shape of a cage.
Yeah, it was weird, man.
Like a fishing net. That's what it looks like. After the bout, Johnson's brother wasn't real happy with the decision. I mean, obviously you won by first round KO, and throws a headbutt your way. Prior to the decision being read.
Fucked him up. I don't know why. I didn't know why I didn't smash him, but I didn't do nothing. I let him off the hook though. But yeah, headbutt me right in the face. I don't know why I didn't fucking just beat his ass. I was just happy to win that fight and get that knockout. I needed to win real bad. I was just happy to win, you know. But I know I get asked about that a lot. I don't know why I didn't do nothing.
Phil, I'm gonna be honest with you. I watched the ending. Like I rewound it again, thinking maybe they edited it because there was definitely an ass kicking that probably took place after the bout. And I was looking for edits because like, there's no way Phil let him get away with that. There's absolutely no way.
Man, you know what though? Like Phil, you know
so
this as well as I do, man. You know, sometimes like right after a fight, your adrenaline is so high, like they ask you a question, you grab the mic and you just start rambling nonsense and you don't even know what you're saying. You're doing all this stupid stuff. I mean, you got this euphoric state of happiness right there. Somebody hit by you, probably like, what the hell's going on? You might not even have been able to process it for about 10 minutes. You're like, later on, you're like, that dude headbutt me, and you get all pissed because I can see that happening, man. You just don't really. People don't understand the adrenaline dump in the euphoric feeling you get. You don't even know what's going on.
It's the biggest relief, dude. That's what it is. Like
in the world,
it's the biggest relief. It's just like you think you're gonna die, and then they tell you don't have cancer. You're April Fools. You know what I mean? It's like.
You're just like,
it's like
you can't imagine the weight that's off your shoulders. It's like you've been worried about this for 2 months.
I can headbutt you in the face. Who gives a fuck? Yeah. Who cares? Thank God I won this damn fight. Yeah. I needed a knockout. I knocked him out good. So yeah.
And all of a sudden, probably I bet later on you process that you're like, what the hell just happened, man? I bet it probably took about 10 minutes. You're like, I'm gonna beat that dude's ass. But I mean, I can see that it's not really processing because your brain's up here for a while. And then that makes sense. But
so how was your experience with Cage Rage?
I liked it. And I think I mean, why there was supposed to be a little bit of a shady promotion?
No, there's a lot of people that have fought over there. You obviously had issues with the referee. I've just kind of gone.
Yeah, it
on
was shady. Fuck it, man. Hometown decision. At least they had it. You know what I mean? At least they had it. I got a good fucking knockout.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I want to go fight for that. Who's that Russian dude that has that crazy promotion over there? That crazy dude. I want to go fight over there.
So like
in Chechnya or something?
Yeah, Chechnya. Yeah, how did he get in that one? I want to fight in that one bad.
Yeah, I don't even. I don't think anybody was doing stuff for COVID, but they're probably back now. I don't know.
Yeah, I want to go fight over there. You know, fuck it. That's something. That's one for the fucking. One for the career.
You know, I might be going out on a limb here, but I'm not sure Chechnya is following the COVID protocols. Like I'm thinking the entire country's probably ignoring, most of what they're supposed to be doing.
I got the vaccine though. I'm all right. I don't give a fuck.
That's good. That's good. Way to go. All right, so we got to do the asshole game with Phil. We have to. So Phil, we're going to throw some names at you. We're going to try to, figure out asshole. Asshole or good dude. It's one of the two. If you got a little story in regards to it, please forward it. Miguel, do you want to start?
Asshole or good dude?
One of the two, dude.
Or the first name I want to ask you about is Phyllis Lee. Would you ever run into Phyllis? Chris is an old Phyllis Lee push. So
Chris loves Phyllis Lee.
I never really dealt with her, man. I never really dealt with that lady. I heard of her. She was back in the day, but I never really dealt with her.
So that's a good dude.
Good dude.
Chris, go ahead.
All right.
What is it?
What do you got? What do you got on Money Cox?
What is it? What are the choices?
He's an asshole. Or he's all right. Good dude.
It's all right.
Yeah. Okay. A little slow on that, Chris. You're getting warm. I know I'm going a home run right here. What about Mr. Joe Schilling?
He's a douchebag.
I had no idea. So Phil, may I ask what transpired between the two of you that kind of soured the relationship?
I don't know. I forgot. He sucks. Why is he? I don't know. He didn't want to fight me. He sucks.
Okay.
He sucks. I forgot what the whole thing was, but we were supposed to fight and then he didn't want to do it. So that,
Is what it is. Yeah.
We were gonna have a fight, and then he didn't want him. And then he was talking shit. That's what happened.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I would recommend somebody throw the WKFF, that bare knuckle organization. That Stiff Phil. That would be a real good name to bring up right now.
I think that guy's in jail, isn't he? Didn't that guy go to jail?
Whatever happened with that, Phil?
I don't know. Were you there, Chris?
No, man, I fought for the other bare knuckle, man. The BKFC. I didn't do the other one, man.
Oh.
Yeah, I heard everybody. He was promising way too much. I heard how much he was offering people. I'm like, how the hell is he gonna pay that? And giving people cars and stuff. I'm like, man, and nobody got paid. So, shit. Man, but that was in Wyoming, wasn't it? I mean, because I thought you had to put money up in an escrow and all that. I guess they didn't make them do that.
Yeah, they got away with it.
I think there's no commission.
There was
no commission.
It was bullshit commission.
Did they ever reach out to you in order to try to make amends, or did he just go kind of ghost everybody?
I think he went to jail, didn't he?
Did he?
I thought. I don't know.
I think Phil, I think you muted your phone. You got to touch the screen and then unmute it.
We can't hear you.
There you go. All right.
So did anything get resolved in regards to that on your end?
I got fucked. I got a concussion for nothing.
Bro, that's terrible.
You know what?
Horse shit, bro. Horse shit.
I think as a fan, what would hurt me the most is Boss Rutan coming forward, because I respect and love Boss, but he kept coming forward with excuses, that weren't
I don't know what the
his.
fuck that was. I have no fucking idea what that was. I got pissed about Boss about that. I have no idea what the fuck that was about.
I mean, Boss kept coming forward, give it a minute. And there was clearly no more minutes left on the clock, and Boss continued.
Yeah, word.
I think Boss was just hoping that guy would, be like come forward and do something. I don't think Boss had any clue what was going on like that.
Yeah. So, speaking of concussions, Phil, have you had any long-lasting issues with them?
No.
How's your memory?
Fine. Like it always was.
I like it.
How many concussions do you think you had?
I don't know. Not many. I take a good shot. Not that many.
Yeah.
Phil, that's the thing I think you're just lucky and born with, because, like, I think in my whole fight career, I think I probably had one ever, and I talked to a lot of guys who've had thousands. They say,
you see motherfuckers get concussions in the gym all the time. You know what I mean? Some guys get concussions sparring shit. I never did. I had some hard sparring sessions. Headgear and 16-ounce gloves. I never get hurt. I can take shots. I think some guys are just a lot more susceptible to it than other guys.
That's what I mean. I think we just lucky the way we got that thick ass skull or something going on. I don't know, but I think I've had one my whole career. I'll take it. That's good.
How was your experience with super manager Ken Pavia?
He was a fun dude. He was fun. He's a cool dude.
Hey, I had the Pops too, so you gonna try and what's going on here? No, the Pop's good, man.
Yeah, he's cool.
Yeah, he kind of got out though.
He's a good dude.
Yeah, the UFC. I think he was in some way they were trying to talk about some kind of unionization, and UFC. That's the one thing you can't do. That's the one thing they're not taking. I think it was something like that. And then he was out after that.
I can see that. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah. Huh. So, Phil, what's next for you, man? Are you working out now, or I think you got a boxing match coming up?
Yeah, I got something. Yep.
What you got coming up, man?
Kickboxing fight. Just a local fight, just something to do. Keep me straight and narrow.
Nice. You see Anderson Silva yesterday or 2 days ago or something.
Yeah, it's awesome. You know what I mean? That's awesome. You see him? That was sick.
Yeah, I was happy for him.
I know. He always wanted to do that. That was a big win. I wonder what he's going to do next. What do you think about Tyron Woodley? What do you think about Tyron Woodley?
I think he should win, but I mean, that's why. What do you think, Phil? Would you like to get involved with the Triller people like there and try and get yourself in a fight like that?
Oh yeah,
that'd be great.
Anything, I'll fight anything. I was fighting over there in Thailand before Corona. I'll fight anything. I like fighting. Everybody has a hobby. You know what I mean? Fuck chess. Fuck.
Tennis,
crossword,
golf.
Fuck crossword puzzles, golf and shit. I like to fight.
Well, here's the elephant in the room. Do you think Tyron Woodley?
But I love to fight. Like a lot of guys now today, like they don't want to fight. Guys are begging guys to fight. Guys only want to fight this fight or that fight. I want to fight for this much. Like I'm a different breed. Like Chris knows. Like when we came up, there was no real money. There was no big. I just like to fucking fight. I always like to fight. You know what I mean?
Anybody who fought back then didn't fight for money because there wasn't much money. So you fought for money, you were stupid. You weren't good at math. There's no money. So,
here's the elephant in the room. Do you think Tyron Woodley's going in there to do a fixed fight?
I don't know.
I hope not. I'm tired of these guys coming out there and making $10 million.
I hope it is. Then I could be next. I'll take a fixed fight too for the next $10 million.
Man, I'll do it for 5, Phil. I'm telling you guys right now, I'm going to undercut Phil. Take 5.
Yeah, that's the rumor. They were saying Askren kind of went in there and didn't even really try and got paid. Dana White insinuates it was a fixed fight, and now you got Tyron Woodley, and Tyron is actively saying, wow, hey man, it's my turn to get a payday. It's my turn to get a payday. So what does that mean? Does that mean like he never really got paid in the UFC, or he's really getting paid to do work? You know, what does that mean?
I don't know.
I mean, to me, that means that he's already thinking this is about being paid. So, you know, the incentive to win might not be there as much. He might not necessarily be at work. It might just be like he don't give a shit.
I don't know how he loses that fight.
Ben Askren didn't give a shit.
Yeah, he didn't look like he trained 1 minute. He came in not looking great. Like, yeah, I get paid still? Okay, whatever.
So Askren said, what's the worst thing that could happen here? I go back to my grammar school wrestling class. They make fun of me for what, a week, and then we're back on the mat again. He's like, and I got a bank full of money. Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
So Miguel, you got anything, buddy? Nah, Miguel, we're struggling. Yeah, he's got no audio. Miguel's got no audio. Chris?
Right. Well, Phil, hey, brother, I want to thank you for your time, coming hanging out with us, telling your story. I always love hearing, the old school guys like myself, all about your career and everything. Hope everybody can enjoy listening to this. And let's get you, get those Triller people out here, get you on the card. I want to watch you throw down again, my friend.
Thanks, brother.
Yes, sir. Have a good one, my man.
You go, Phil.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Check out the full interview on iTunes, Spotify, and all major podcast platforms.